Welcome, sisters, womb holders, to our week one of this round of womb rhythms. This week we're focusing on the menstrual cycle, which I am just currently like really feeling the potency of this phase. And I mean, I always touch on this, but like just today specifically. And yay, Allie's here. Um, just really breathing into that phase of our cycle, which is asking us to really hold deep space for ourselves and for our body, and like nourish deeply and assist in the process of releasing and detoxifying. Welcome, Allie. We're just getting started. Um, so, yeah, to start, I would just love to drop into a quick meditation if everybody's feeling open. If you need a minute to like get comfortable, you can sit or lie down. Oh, yay, Cassie's here too. Okay, so we'll wait maybe one more minute. Sisters are still trickling in. Yeah. Hi, Allie. Hi, Cassie. So glad you're both here. We were just getting started, little intro, and then we're about to go into a little meditation into the womb and just touching on the phase of the cycle that we're in for this first week, which is the menstrual phase. I really love starting with this because I don't know about all of you, we all have different experiences of like what the day one of our cycle is, but I track it by the first day of my bleed. So it's like the death and the rebirth. So it feels really good to start with that one. And thank you so much for being here and for hearing the call and being with yourself and your journey and your experience. I've had quite a journey today, so I'm so grateful to be here with all of you and just loving you and just inviting you to get cozy within your body. So whatever that means, like deep breath into the lower belly felt really good to me. Like just relax the root, the shoulders melt a little bit from your ears. And just take your time here. No need to rush into it. No need to pressure ourselves into being in a certain state. So just receiving your breath on the inhale. Exhale through the mouth. We'll take 3 deep breaths like that. So inhale through the nose and then like deep sigh through the mouth on the exhale. Whew, yeah, really let yourself feel it, express a noise if that feels good. One more. Deep into your womb space, lower belly. Just noticing what sensations that brings about to give yourself this full experience of a full expansion and then releasing contraction and bringing into the awareness that rhythm of our cycle. That's the expansion and the contraction, just like our breath and like our womb, like our life-giving creative center that holds so much beauty and power and creativity. Allowing whatever sensations you're feeling in the body to be welcomed in and noticed as we journey in here, welcoming in all our sisters and all of you into the space, the exact moment that you're in, and whatever moment that you're in, and connecting with your womb and with your cycle is totally perfect and welcome. Just inviting you to draw your awareness from wherever it was down into the womb space, imagining yourself kind of descending, sinking, walking into this beautiful, soft, dark, moist space that is the creation of all of life, and welcoming in whatever feelings, whatever visual comes along with that, and not judging it. Just noticing like where your womb's at right now. What's she feeling? What's she telling you? And inviting you to relax your root a little more. If you're holding tension there, constriction, just let it be soft, let it be open if that feels safe to do. And also noticing if it doesn't feel quite safe, if it feels challenging to do that, that's also beautiful. All of you coming into your body and is so welcome in this space. And your voice is so welcome here. Taking a few last deep breaths into the womb, up into the heart. Just allowing our nervous system to be soothed. It can also feel really good to like rub or just stroke the front of your body with your hands. That signals to the nervous system it's okay to just be at ease and be relaxed. And opening your eyes as you're ready. Come back into the space. As we begin our gathering here, our little virtual red tent womb room. Welcome, Christina. So glad you are here with us. Inviting you, if you feel called, to share anything that came up in your experience in your meditation in the chat. We'll have time for like sharing our voices a little later on. Meg and I are just going to touch on some topics and themes of the menstrual cycle and different ways that we tune in with this phase, and a little bit of our personal experiences with which I think most of you have heard at some point, our stories with our menstrual cycle, but so we won't go too deep into it. But yeah, I'm feeling called to share like what has helped me to really connect with this time in my cycle and what has really shifted for me in the last couple of years. But I'm kind of tired of talking right now, so I'm going to let Meg come in and start that.
Thank you, Leah. That was a beautiful meditation. Yeah, I'm so honored to be here with all of you lovely women, womb holders, and just honoring that part of ourselves that is so a part of us and the whole world as a whole. So just honoring all of life, and our stories are similar, me and Leah's. My menstruation got lost a few years ago when I was at a really sick point in my life with chronic eczema. And when I lost it, I was like, yay, I no longer have to deal with that anymore, because I just had this relationship to it that I just dreaded it every cycle and was in so much pain on my bed and just curling up every cycle. And once it was gone, I was relieved. But then as I started to begin to heal my full body, I'm like, wow, our menstruation is such a sign of our overall health, and what our menstruation tells us, that's a sure sign of what's going on in our full body and how it can balance out. And so I just prayed for it back, and 6 months after that, I received it back, and I was just so grateful and filled within myself. It was kind of like an initiation back into my body and my power as a woman, and it was so special to me. Like I started painting with it that cycle, and like the women around me were like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, I just feel so grateful for this part of myself that was once lost, and now I found it again. And that's when the magic began to happen in my life. And since then, um, over this past year, I really tuned in on a deeper level. My friend Cree does courses to learn more about like each phase and tracking your cycle. And once she like just poured out her wisdom, it was like my body automatically knew, like, oh yeah, this is what happens with my body, and that it's okay to be like emotional and up and down, and that each phase brings a certain energy and a certain way we get to tune in with it and really utilize it for like the benefit of our full life. And once I tuned into it in a different way, my whole life shifted around, like the way I do business, the way I communicate with other people, the way I honor myself, and the way I honor others. It's such a gift. And when we can remind one another of that, it awakens our bodies. And yeah, that is why I am here, to awaken all of our bodies, and knowing that when we remember that we can never lose that within ourselves. And a big part as well has been cleaning my body. That's where me and Leah met, was through different nutritional protocols and working with them. And it shifted my whole balance of like my pH levels in my vaginal canal. Before it was like really itchy before I would menstruate, and since doing the daily protocols, nourishing my body well and getting that foundational support has just been super life-changing. I'm so grateful to be offering this with you, Leah and Christina. I want to honor you as well for just being a big part of this. And your voice is welcome as well. So I want to turn it over to either of you.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing that. I just want to take a minute because I'm just like feeling so much love in this space right now. I mean, always, but like I'm just like looking at all your faces and loving you so much and feeling your hearts and like feeling how like open you are and how excited you are. Like it, maybe it's a projection, but I get so excited just like tuning in with my body and like learning about my menstrual cycle. Similar to what Meg was saying. When I lost my cycle, I lost my bleed for like 6 months and then it came back. I feel like I was like getting initiated for the first time, or, you know, we're initiated in some sense when we first bleed when we're little, but most of us didn't really have like a celebration of that, or like a good foundation where we could like be literate about what's going on in our bodies and like feel, at least I didn't. And I know many women that I know did not feel like I had a grasp on what was happening. I just knew that I would bleed at some point. I was super irregular. my whole life. And so when I started to bleed again after I had lost my period, it really felt like a huge initiation because I had found such a deep appreciation for that part of me that I'd never had before. I was like, oh my God, I want to bleed. I was like begging for it to come back. And then when it did, I was just like ecstatic. And I feel like it shifted something really big in my womb. Like I was clearing out a lot of old emotional repression and like honestly like collective and ancestral stuff. I really felt the collective pain of the womb, of women. And yeah, I painted with my blood too. And I just remember like hiding it from my roommates and like not knowing which ones would like think that was weird, but I was just like, I don't fucking care. And yeah, I had also never learned about how, like, no one ever told me, like, oh, what you eat has anything to do with your health or the health of your cycle. You know, it was just like eating all this crap that, you know, I ate growing up and having extremely painful cramps, like vomiting multiple times and like just dreading my period. Like, I would just like hate it so much because it's so painful. Like, who wants that? And just realizing now as I've come into harmony, more and more harmony with my body, that it really doesn't need to be that way. I really believe that we are not here to suffer physically. Like, I don't believe it's necessary. And, you know, I grew up watching a lot of physical suffering in my family. Like, my mom had an autoimmune diagnosis, and I just always felt like we're not here to like be in pain all the time. And I believe that we can really find ease in our body and like be living in harmony with ourselves. And everybody has a different journey and like different things you've dealt with, and like totally just honoring so much all experiences of different symptoms and diagnoses, because I've had cysts on my ovary and it's not fun, and that's a real thing, and it has to do with a lot of different factors. But part of it has to do with, you know, our intake, what we're consuming, and then part of it is energetic and, you know, the air, the culture, like all the things. So just really honored to be on this journey from my experience and from connecting with my sisters who are also on the path of just reclaiming our bodily sovereignty. And that's really what it feels like to me, is like the power that we hold in our physical body and in our cycle and our womb is like, I mean, there's no words. It's like that is the creative life force energy of the universe. And we can really tap into that when we honor our own natural cycle. And natural can mean so many things. Like, I don't want to shame anybody for being on birth control. I was on birth control before. Everybody is on their own journey. Like, even if you're not menstruating anymore, you can tap into the rhythms of the moon and of the womb. And so just really inviting in all experiences and all walks of life. And yeah, just going into some themes now of the menstrual phase. That's the phase, specific phase that we're in. Some of you might tune in with this already, but each phase of the cycle really corresponds like at a physiological level with a season of the year. And winter, so our internal winter is menstruation. So if you think about it, you're like literally, you're like contracting and closing in on yourself and honing in all the internal resources you already have that are going to sustain you, and not needing to like take on anything extra, probably not wanting to take on new projects or work on a lot of things. Yay, Aixa is coming. And it's a time to really deeply, like I said in the beginning, hold space for ourselves. And that can mean so many things. Welcome, Aixa. So happy you're here. Just starting to talk about different themes of the menstrual phase, which we're in. And I was just touching on how we're in the internal winter. So just like sitting with that for a minute, and feel free to like jump in the chat with any insights that are coming up around that, around how we tend to ourselves when everything in our body is really asking us to like go within and be in a pause and give ourselves some time to be alone and like be in that darkness and that death phase. And it's really a potent time where we could be more connected to you know, like other realm, like more psychic realms, dreams can be more vivid. Like my dreams are super vivid when I'm about to bleed. It's like, whoa. So your psyche, your subconscious, your like deep, you know, wintry, dark moon subconscious is like kind of coming forth, and we can really see our bleed as like our oracle, and it can share with us like things about our lives and about ourselves that we might have been looking over, and emotions that are wanting to really just like be purged, and really feeling our boundaries. The other theme that I really like to tune in with, there's 4 archetypes of like goddess archetypes each cycle, and your bleed time is the crone. So like the old wise woman who just like knows what's up. She doesn't beat her on the bush. She doesn't take any bullshit. She's like, I'm gonna tell you, child, listen, like I'm gonna tell you what you need, and I'm gonna set your boundaries. And so I just remember growing up, I would become, a lot of the pain would come from, I realized, because I wasn't giving myself space to process and be with my own self, and I didn't know boundaries. And so people in your life that are crossing those boundaries and you're getting mad at them and like, you know, PMSy and bitchy, is because we haven't held our boundaries and given ourselves that space to like be with ourselves. So then when people are like all up in our face, we're like, yeah, gonna lash out at them. So just honoring that is like our inner crone who's like telling us, this is not a conversation I want to have right now. I don't have the emotional space, or, you know, this is not a project that I want to be focusing on right now. I don't have the mental capacity. I need to rest. My body needs to rest and eat superfoods or tea or whatever you need. Um, so yeah, I'm going to stop there for now. I think Meg likes to talk about the physiology of what's going on hormonally and in our womb space, and then we'll touch on like nourishing your menstrual cycle, menstrual phase, and then yeah, open up for some sharing. How you feeling, Meg?
Yes, I will share what's happening in our bodies. So, have some notes here. The menstruation generally lasts 4 to 7 days, although it can vary woman to woman. But that's typically a healthy gauge. And it gets lighter in the last couple days if it's at a healthy balance. The energetic influence of this phase lasts about 7 days. This is the most introverted or yin part of a woman's cycle. This is a time of separating from the external world and surrendering into the inner temple of menstruation. It is a time for renewal, visioning, release, and finding clarity in your life. It is a time to slow down and rest as energy levels tend to be low. And what's happening in the body, the uterus is shedding its lining and swells to twice its size. Incredible progesterone and estrogen drop, and verbal skills drop with estrogen crash. And period brain is real, you guys, you gals. And generally only half a cupful of blood is lost, although it can seem like more. And the veil between the conscious and subconscious self is very thin, so like in between worlds at that time. And if you're taking the pill, the bleeding you experience is not actually a period. It is just a withdrawal bleed from an artificially induced quasi-pregnancy. So that's what's happening if you have the pill as well. Yeah, so that's what's happening physiologically in the body. And if you have anything to say, Christina, Leah, to jump off of that.
Leah, are you talking?
No, I looked like you were unmuting yourself, so I was waiting.
I was trying to look for you and I couldn't find you, and then I found you. Yeah, I am totally in receptive mode today, as I'm getting ready to bleed and have been releasing a lot and feeling just like deep fucking trauma and pain for just it all, and our children specifically on this planet. And feeling super grateful for this space, and having an opportunity for like us all as women to come together and like give voice to this deep wisdom that we hold within our wombs, that have been like, we've been so cut off of. And it's like, I mean, like for me, we all have our own stories when we remember first getting our period, but I remember like how traumatic like bleeding for the first time was. I mean, me personally, I got my period later than my peers. I was like 16. So everyone had like already been sexually active and like have been getting their period for years. And it was like the first time, it was in the middle of high school, and I like got in like the middle of the comments, and it was like all over me and everyone. And it was just like, it was like an energy enough to like not have this. And it was like my first time, and then just like feeling into like, no one at the school was supportive. Like my mom, like God bless her soul, she's such a beautiful person, but she was like, here's a tampon, like didn't even like help me. And it's like, it's such an initiation into like womanhood and into like this deep relationship that we have with nature and with our psychic connections. And there's so much power that we can tap into when we know, when we understand like why it is that we go through like certain things. Like the woman's body is a vessel for like creation to be expressed. Like she every month she's bleeding and sacrificing. Like she is giving back the pain that she holds, whether it's her own personal process, or the woman carries for the earth, and for all of our sisters, and for all of our mothers, and all of our children. And we're such emotional beings, and each month we sacrifice and we give back, and we have the opportunity to like plant intentions, and to create, and like to be conscious in our co-creative process as like manifestations of the creator God. Like that's what the woman is, the portal for life. And it's like, we're so not tapped into this wisdom, and just like having an opportunity for us all to be like, yeah, like this is like, let's not be ashamed about it. Let's teach our daughters to like not be ashamed about it, to be empowered in their blood. And even for us to just talk about how we feel like we've been disgraced in the womb space. Even we all have our own stories, and we all walk our own path. And even if there isn't maybe something that you're cognitively understanding why you feel any sort of resistance in that sexual area, like we all feel it in some way, shape, or form. And I feel like we're all here now to like give voice to it and transform it and heal it. So just like having a free space to discover the wisdom together, and like give voice to each and every one of us, because we all have a journey, we all have a unique wisdom that is meant to be heard and uplifted. And it's just so warming to my heart, to just be a part of a space like this. So thank you all for being here and showing up, and walking this fucking path of life. And like, I just see you all so deeply as just being warrior women, and thank you. And yeah, thank you for the space, Leah and Meg, for holding down the fort and sharing your deep womb wisdom. I love you, sisters, and thank you.
I love you so much. Thank you for that expression. Just really feeling into the power of something you said kind of in the beginning that brought up for me how powerful it is that we, like, oftentimes when I do, because I don't really experience a lot of pain anymore in my cycle like I used to. I mean, compared to what I used to, it's like nothing. So I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. It's like brings me pleasure when I'm preparing for my bleed and it's coming. I get so happy and I'm like, I feel like, like I said, part of it is how I'm nourishing and how I'm living on a daily life, on a daily level, but also a lot of it is like just the act of like intending to celebrate your body and its phase will bring it pleasure and like it will be receptive to that. But I do feel that we have this opportunity when we are feeling that pain, the physical pain and the emotional things that are coming up. A lot of it, some of it is your stuff, but also we're all energetically connected, and a lot of it could be the collective pain that we are processing of everything that has happened on this planet for all of human history. A lot of that was painful. And so we're helping Earth and we're helping our mothers and our grandmothers and our daughters and our sisters and our brothers and all people in between who don't identify with a gender or a specific gender. We're just helping all the beings process that, and it's so powerful. And when we give ourselves that space, like what I just really felt called to emphasize today was like, give yourself at least a day if you can to like rest, like really rest. And that's really hard for me to still do. It's honestly hard for me to even take one day to do nothing because we're so conditioned to always be doing something, for our minds to be figuring something out and creating. And it's like, this is not a externally creative phase. A lot of creativity is happening within, but when I don't give myself that space, I notice the rest of my cycle kind of follows that pattern that I set, where then, maybe I won't have as much energy in my springtime phase when I could be really vibrant and like energetic. But if I did give myself that rest, it's like I experience this wild rebirth energy in my next phases, and it's beautiful. So yeah, just inviting that. I've been feeling that come up for me a lot, just holding space for ourselves. And yes, so inviting in for you all. We are going to get into the nutrition and like the herbal and nutrition, nourishment of things that can really support you during this phase. And some of you are on the transformation that we work with or have done it. So we're going to, answer questions, anything that's been coming up, or anyone who wants to learn more about it. But I wanted to invite anybody who feels called to share about whatever's coming up for you around this whole topic. Everything is welcome.
Hi, I'm Jessie. I'm a little shy, but I'm really excited to be here. I'm really excited about the bleeding time. I feel like for the last probably 6 months, I've slowly been transitioning into where it's almost like a MDMA experience for me, where my whole body just is like a pleasure center, and I feel it's really easy to orgasm, and I get really deep orgasms. And thank you. And I feel like I get really beautiful visuals when I listen to music. One thing that I am setting an intention with this is that I get so depressed after my period, and I have a really hard time coming back out into the world. Like I almost am kind of chasing the sensation of having the veil thin and feeling really connected to myself and very inward. And I almost feel like I'm being shoved out of a cave or where I really want to be there, So that's it. Thank you.
Hi guys. Okay, first off, I am really thankful Leah always tells me to come because I finally have made space and I see why this is so necessary. So thank you for being a kind sister to me. Love you lots. But yeah, Jesse, I totally like thank you for that insight. I feel like that's definitely a space that I don't respect, like just in the bleed and giving like self-respect to my process. I give a lot. That's like my nature. That's my job, first of all, and that's just like my nature of who I am. So honoring that space I feel really called to do. So yeah, thank you for all for sharing your story. And I just read Cass's note, and thank you for sharing that. I just skipped. I'm like on a really strange. I normally like have a, you know, 32 to 33 day cycle, and then like normally um, have like at least a 7-day bleed, which is strange, but it's very light. I am blessed in my body and thankful. My body is kind to me, but I'm working on a lot of other things and setting some different intentions. Maybe I am shifting, so I'm recognizing that maybe my absent period is like a transformation. So I'm just letting it like sit and be, but I feel called to really like nourish myself, and I'm praying for it. And yeah, so thanks for seeing me. Yeah.
That was beautiful, Haley. Hello, and honestly, so beautiful, everyone. Like, hello, my loves. I really a couple things. Well, number one, thank you for creating this space, Leah, Meg, and Christina. Y'all are literally such goddesses, and all of you here that being hi, you're amazing, and I'm so grateful to be here with y'all. I Well, one thing was that, Jesse, you had mentioned visualizations during sex, and I just had that like 2 weeks ago, with having sex on my period. And I literally saw the jungle and I saw space. And Christina, my girl. And I've never experienced that before. And it was unfucking real. And like, holy shit, like just bleeding and sex is so cosmic that like, I felt like, yeah, it felt like an MDMA sweet acid experience. But yeah, so it was great to hear that, like, because I've never experienced that. But yeah, it's the best. It's literally the best. So thank you. Gorgeous. I just want like, I mean, I guess I can do that to myself on a day-to-day basis. I feel like I need like a good dildo to purchase one soon. Fingers crossed, but like, you know. But anywho, I'm digressing. But yeah, and then number two is that I haven't been on birth control for 2 years, and this is about a week. I'm back on it, and this is about a week into it. And I've been going insane. And like, I'm just curious to know, like my mentality has been anxious and paranoid and kind of nauseous, really intense, really shitty. And oh my God, an obsidian dildo. That is the vibe that I need. I have like a selenite, excuse me, it's my dog. I want to roar. I have wait, say hi. Okay, yeah, sorry. But I have like a selenite wand that's been pretty incredible. Like I was feeling really crazy, right? And I think I found myself, not only I feel like it was the influence of the birth control, but like I felt like a lot of it was also me putting blame towards like pushing away my feelings so much, and like storing it up and not making time for myself. And like last night I had a bath with like Epsom salts and incense and sage and music and candles, and it was gorgeous. And I did a meditation with the selenite, both in my sacral plexus and my vagina. But yeah, yeah, and it really helped, and it made calm me down, and it made me feel, oh my God, my girl, thank you so much. I'm literally gonna buy it tonight. You're the best. Yeah, but I'm just, wow, I love you all so much. Yeah, but after doing that, I noticed that I was a lot calmer, and I went in today calmer, and I'm like, right, like I'm gonna figure it. I guess I'm gonna wait a month and see if I'm still acting this crazy. Like, not crazy, I guess it's a bad wrong word to use, but just really just like anxious and all over the place. See if it works for me or not. Because not being on birth control really worked for me. It was really nice. I had really intense periods, to be fair, but I don't know. I just don't think I appreciate, especially the last few months. I don't think I held them dear and found them as sacred as I could have. You know, I was more just seeing negatives out of it, which I feel like my eyes have been awoken. I mean, always with being with you ladies, but yeah, but thank you. And I'm just curious, like, do you think this is normal? Like birth control in a week being crazy? I don't know. If not, all good. But yeah, thank you. I love you ladies so much.
I love you so much, Abby. Thank you so much. I'm so happy about the dildos too. I've been wanting the crystal one for a while. This is turning into a sacred sex gathering too. I'm really happy about it. But I just wanted to, well, if I would love to hear if anyone else has any insights about the birth control question, just coming from things I've learned and like also my own experience with birth control is like, you know, your hormones are shifting because of it. So, you know, like that's like could be like your serotonin levels and like all the different hormones that balance your brain. It could be like just shifting them. I don't know if it's good or bad. It might just be like an adjustment period, you know, like I would feel like if it goes on for a while, I would be like, I don't know, but I don't know like what kind of pill it is. Yeah. Snip that off. Yeah. What made you want to go back on it?
I had like an experience. It was when I was in New Zealand like 6 months ago, where I had sex, and the guy was just a douchebag, and I asked him not to come to me, and he did. Like, we did it 3 times, and I got Plan B 3 times that week, and it was just really bad, and really bad for my body. And I guess recently I've started having sex again, and I've just been worried about, I don't know, just worried about getting pregnant. I think that's the biggest thing, because I really like not using condom. Like, I know it's STD production, but like, or protection, but like, it's just someone you trust. It's just so nice. So I wish you could make an off button just to be like, I'm not going to get pregnant again or today.
I don't know if you're consistent or not with your bleeding, but I downloaded the Planned Parenthood app and started just putting in my dates, and it tells me what days I'm fertile. So I'm not currently sexually active, but when I had a boyfriend, it was really nice because we only had to use condoms or pull out or whatever, like 3 or 4 days a week or a month, I mean, so.
Oh, that's perfect. Thank you so much. That's such a good idea. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, there's different ways you can tune in with that, like tracking your what's it called? The moisture. What do we call this? What's the word for that?
Cervical mucus?
Cervical fluid. Yeah. And discharge. You can actually like yeah. I actually like know when I'm ovulating or when I did ovulate because my fluid is like clear, very clear, and it like will kind of like a web. It'll like be stretchy and like just very wet down there. And you can kind of know when you're done ovulating because it starts to turn more white and chunky. Everyone's is like a little different, but you can like track it daily, and you can take your temperature. And I haven't been taking my temperature for a while, but I do have a basal body thermometer. I know Meg does that. And I track it, like I've shared, like just tracking the dates and tracking, just starting to tune in with like knowing when you ovulate. And like you can actually only get pregnant like within 5 days of before and after ovulation. I have heard of people getting pregnant on their period, but I feel like that's like way outlier. I don't know.
That's amazing advice. Thank you so much, Angel.
My friend Cree actually made like a little chart, and she took photos of her cervical fluid every single day of the month, and just showing like the cervical fluid and showing us like the length of like when you ovulate, how it's like egg white, and it was fascinating. I'm like, whoa, now I know what to look for.
Wow, that's
And there's,
amazing. That's such a good idea. I didn't even think to check that, you know. I was just kind of like, oh, got to change this pair of underwear. That kind of
yeah,
vibe. But like
yeah.
that awareness is that's fucking awesome. I'm gonna start doing that. Thank y'all.
Anybody else feels called to share your current experience with your bleed or menstruation? Take a couple more minutes for that, and then go into the nourishment. And yeah.
I have a quick topic, if we're able. Okay, so I recently learned I have a history of reproductive, abnormalities and cancers, and within my family, and so I've been getting like checked more, and definitely like understanding just like how even my cervix is positioned and like just all of this stuff. And I went to a midwife and had my first, because I switched because I had such awful experiences at the OBGYN because they called me abnormal because I have a bicornuate uterus. But anyways, don't get me started. But so I saw a midwife, and she let me take my like the thing home, like what's the like the thing that they insert for the pap smear. And so she was like, yeah, take it home and like check your own cervix and like feel around, like have your partner like take a picture and like all that stuff. So I haven't had him do that yet, but I like want to know if anybody has done that, or like I'm kind of like, I don't know, I don't want to say like scared because I'm like very like pro body, like I love my body, but like I don't know how to like find my cervix first of all, and I know how to check my like cervical like fluid and discharge and like all that stuff. But yeah, like has anybody ever touched their cervix, or like is that weird? I don't know. Open.
Yes, I have, and I never really thought it was that. Like, I never really knew what was in my vaginal canal. And once I took my friend Cree's course, she's like, oh, yeah, check your cervix every day. So I started like feeling around. Mine's more to the side. Um, so every person is going to be different. Some people's are lower, some people's are like way up in there. So it really depends upon your body. But I know one of my friends, she had her boyfriend check it because she couldn't find it, and it was like way up in there. So depends on your body, but at different points in your cycle, it can become firm and hard, or like open and soft, and then like a medium consistency.
Thank you so much. I really was scared to like talk about that. But and another question while we're on the topic. So when you feel it, like is it supposed to I don't know, like what's the word? Like is it supposed to like be like a certain shape, I guess? Or like I don't know. Like what's the protocol of a cervix? Does anybody know?
I notice for me, mine's more like this size and circular, more so. For me, it's interesting to touch. Like some parts are numb for me, so that's just an interesting sensation. I'm sure everyone's different.
For me, it's really easy to get really emotional when I touch mine. Like it's very easy to have things stirred up. And for me, I've been able to give myself 2 cervical orgasms, and both times I've wept during them. They've been really like cathartic experiences for me, and like almost require a lot of emotional vulnerability with myself to get there.
How do you touch your cervix? Like, with your fingers? Do you have to, like, do you stick your hand in there? How?
Is that for me or anyone? Oh, okay. For me, it's, yeah, just be prepared to go deep. Sometimes I have to just kind of sit up with pillows. So yeah, sometimes it feels a little more like it's going to cause a wrist cramp and it's a little exhausting, but if you're up for it, then yeah, it's worthy to explore.
I would look up the anatomy of it too, so you can actually like see where it could be.
So I have a question for the group. When we're checking it, what are we checking for? For those of us who express sharing that they check theirs.
For mine, I have a little tracking sheet for my whole month, and it has a place where you can track your cervical position, and it just asks, is it like firm and small, or is it medium size, or is it soft and more open? So that's what I check if I'm checking it. I don't know if that answers it.
I really love where this conversation has gone, and I'm feeling inspired to like find some sort of womb anatomy expert to come be a guest next time, maybe, or like someone who, you know, has been more on the physiology medical side of it, because yeah, that's something that I feel I need to explore more for myself. Oh yeah, Cree, we should have Cree come in. Oh my god, yeah, because she had us come on hers. Yeah, Meg's friend is really awesome. And yeah, thank you for all those questions. That has me like thinking about things I didn't think about in a while. Like wanting to check my cervix and yeah, just like feeling so much gratitude for the whole cycle, for the cycle that we get to experience that to me used to feel like a burden, and now it feels like such a gift. It's like, no, this is like, I am the embodiment of Mother Earth. Cool. And my creative flow. Yeah, never would have thought to check my cervix. I know, right? Yeah, imagine if little girls were taught this from a young age, and how literate they would be in their bodies and how empowered and sovereign in their bodies. That's one of my dreams. Yay. Aw, beautiful. Well, I'm feeling calls. We probably won't go too much longer. So wanting to just bring in some wisdom about nourishment for this part of your cycle that can help to bring you more ease and ease along, you know, your experience in your flow, your bleed, your cramping. I know a lot of you have experienced very intense symptoms, as I have as well, and there's different ways we can navigate that, and also just like preparing for the bleed. Like I have started to, like, actually I'm gonna bleed in a few days, probably like less than a week, around the full moon. So when I'm about a week out, I'll now start to like really slow down. Like, so I'm not like doing intense workouts, for example, and like kind of start to organize so that when I am bleeding, I can really give myself that space without being like, oh, but I have to like work on this thing, and just kind of like get all my affairs in order, and also start to intake different things. Like actually my last period, or before my last period, I had a really intense pain on my right side, where my ovary, where I did have a cyst last year, and I started to get really paranoid, but then I just like let myself really feel it and be with it and like be with the pain, and then like gave myself some herbal teas that really help me when that happens. There's like a few herbs that can ease that and that can help with cysts as well. One of them is Pau Darko, which Aixa told me about when we lived together, and I got some for myself. I was in Tahoe, and I remembered that Aixa told me that, and so I got some Pau Darko, and I got some raspberry leaf and rose hips, and that helped a lot actually. And yeah, so different things like that. Meg and I mentioned the superfood protocols that we work with a few of you have also tried or work with us. So wanting to see if there's any questions around that, or if Meg, if you want to share anything more about what supports you during that time. I know that, like Meg was saying, giving myself the pretty daily, like at this, you know, at this point in our world, we really do need to be detoxifying our bodies regularly, even if it's like once a year at least. But like, especially for our gut microbiome, like it's really important to be nourishing ourselves and clearing out chemical toxins and balancing with pre and probiotics. That can also help with your hormones, with your pH level. So the protocols that we work with are really powerful because they're super, super pure. And there's a specific medicine called Biomedic that is the first and only thing that is proven to clear glyphosate out of the body, which is the chemical in Roundup sprayed on everything, lots of food. Most of our food supply, it's in the air, water. So specifically with that, I've noticed that, well, I feel from that one that it's helping, it really helps balance my pH, because when I don't have it, I start to get like mild BV again, bacterial vaginosis, which I used to get a lot. And yeah, I feel like these, just shifting my lifestyle and like intaking deep nutrition that I wasn't getting before has really helped me to find more regularity and like just ease in my cycle. Like I don't experience the cramps like I used to. And I think a lot of it is because of that. So big gratitude ups to Mother Nature and the plants and the herbs. I love them. So yeah, Meg, if you have anything else you're wanting to share around that, or if anyone has anything that helps you during that time, or anything, any questions.
I'll hold that. The plants and Mother Nature. I feel that was really what led me back to myself. And the plants are like, they hold so much wisdom. I keep hearing like that is like the elders carrying on their wisdom who have passed. And I just feel that so deeply, like when we go back into the soil that is fed into the plants and their wisdom. Each plant is so unique. And what's helped me a lot, as I've said, like the transformation just really tuned me in on like a day-to-day basis. And like just getting super clear and like my vision, my clarity, And coming with that from that space, I was able to just dive so deep into my menstruation like I'd never had before, and just allowed myself to be in that space. And from that, I gained so much inspiration and wrote it all down. And what birthed from that was this Moontime Medicine movement some of you guys know about. But it was really brought to my attention that for my body and for the other bodies of women, that when we can create medicines from plants and provide that to our communities, that it's so supportive. So I've created these little bags for women for their menstruation, and I make different plant medicines along with the protocols to just deeper support that space. Some ones I love for that time are cacao, of course. I feel it's like the richness of the Mother Earth and like the goddess. And our bodies crave chocolate around that time for a reason, to like get our magnesium filled up, boosting our mood, and just feeling good and flowing in our bodies. And what else? There's so many good ones. I love the raspberry leaf, as you said, Leah. And also nettle is so soothing for that space for me. And actually, like right before I go into menstruation, I create a soup for myself. So I don't have to make food during that time. I just have my superfoods. I got my soup. I got my Moontime bag. And I'm all set to go. And in that soup, I just put it all in a crock pot. I put like different mushrooms and Chinese herbs such as peony root. What else? Peony root, Codonopsis. There's so many different names, but maybe I could just drop them in the chat. They're weird names.
I just wanted to add that I personally really like to add mugwort to my ritual. So, you know, it's good for visioning, and it's generally considered very good for our reproductive system. And I'm really actually loving just picking the raspberry leaf wild right around me. And there's yarrow too, which is a great herb for women, and pineapple weed. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's basically like a wild chamomile. So I'm really enjoying just getting into the wild herbs that, you know, are good for the body here.
Yes, something I noticed for myself is, yeah, motherwort is like also a heart opening herb. So like helping with emotional processing and soothing. Um, energetically. But for me, like at least the first 2 days of my bleed, probably like 3 to 4, it's like really hard for me to eat a lot of solid food. Like if I do, it has to be something really easily digestible, like a soup or yeah, I really get the shits, honestly. Like my digestion is just like not having it. So if I eat a lot of solid food, I'll get cramps. So I just really love having a green shake, a soup, like things that are just like gonna help me wash anything out and not, yeah, because I feel like my area down there is working so hard to like release and let go of all this blood that the extra digesting is just like not helping it. So that helps me. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, I need to write all these down. Fennel, dang shen. Yes, roots. Yes, intuitive eating is something I'm learning. Well, my loves, I'm feeling that we are coming to a close for this gathering. Meg, is there anything else that's coming up? We have beets. Yeah. Yeah, I also feel like it makes sense that we would eat like darker, probably red foods when we're bleeding. So it's like we're losing red, so we should eat red. I'm gonna do that this time.
Yeah, I always beets. Whether it's in my soup or like beet juice. And then I do like a ton of leafy dark greens, like you said, and root vegetables. So it like just deeply nourishes my root. And it just makes sense. Like I usually go with the season of my cycle. So what would I be eating in winter? So I'll be eating soups and deeply nourishing things for my womb. And some women do more of like a cleansing period, so just filling into your intuition on what might be nourishing, clarifying for whatever your body needs. And yeah, I'm just so grateful for this space. There's always so much wisdom that drops. And I'm so grateful for my womb and my blood and for everybody here to honor our wombs together. And I really feel that especially in these times that so many women are awakening to their womb space, and it's so exciting. And there's so much to feel and to move through. And when we have one another's support and share our experiences, that's when we can unite together, rise together. And we need to be talking about this more. So I know since I've learned more about my cycle, it leaks out into every area of my life. I talk about it so much just with my family. They're even calling that time moon time now. And that's so exciting for me. I'm like, yes, I love that phrase, moon time, and just feels a lot more nourishing and honoring for myself and for women. So when we start speaking up about it, it's gonna go into the younger generations and also the older ones if they haven't had a easeful cycle and relationship. So just so grateful. Thank you.
If anybody has anything that's like really emerging up that you feel called to share, inviting that in our last few minutes, and just, yeah, definitely wanting to dig into that a little more with us next week, Jesse. I love that. Yeah, that really like activated something in me. I feel like I want to reflect on that tonight, just how you were saying that you don't want to come out of that cave. And I feel that. And I wonder if that's because we didn't ever have enough time in the cave our whole life. That was just what came forth for me. But yeah, that's really interesting. Ooh, maybe I have a little home play that we can all reflect on that and then come back next week and share what we reflected upon. Yay. I love it. Beautiful. Well, sisters, Christina, do you want to share? Yeah.
I just want to say thank you. I'm going to hop off. Thank you all so much. I love you guys. I'll see you next week. Happy bleeding for those of us that are bleeding.
Love you so much. So much. I love you all so much. And inviting in a deep breath into the womb. The circle is open but never broken. Yes, maybe we're all going to be bleeding together. Mine's near the full moon too.
Today's my last day.
Oh, yay. How was
Last day.
Hmm? What?
Oh, I asked how was this time for you, this bleed for you?
It was good.
Yeah.
Minor pain. I made a mugwort oil, so I've been
Ooh.
rubbing that on my belly. I usually just get pain the first day, and then all subsequent days feel pretty normal. So yeah, it was good. It's a good time. It came later, so I was really anticipating it. Like I built up this excitement, which was good to feel. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you said that on Saturday. You were like anticipating it.
Mm-hmm.
So good to hear.
Mm-hmm.
You had a good experience.
Yeah. For those my name is Aixa. There's many new faces. But I was telling Leah and Meg and some others that my last few periods were really, really painful. And so I built up a lot of fear surrounding the coming of my period. And so it was really interesting to have it come a little bit later and building up an excitement instead. And I think that also helped me not experience as much pain. Yeah, so it's good. Exciting. Yeah. Thank you so much for everything, everyone.
I did just want to mention, I think Haley mentioned it, and I think also Jesse may have, but I don't know, that you guys missed your cycle, or I don't know, but I was pretty regular with the new moons for a while, and then last new moon I was supposed to get my flow and I didn't, and now I'm like kind of hoping that I sync up with the full moon. I just started discharging today, but I am feeling a little weird that I'm like, why, where did it go? What did I do? Fuck. So yeah, I just wanted to voice that because I think I heard that reflected in the space before by some other sisters.
Yeah, mine does that sometimes, and I've noticed like sometimes it really feels like my bleed is actually syncing up with like like something else was happening in my life, or like some emotional thing was coming, or like an event where it like needed to sync up with. And the full moon, I think, is on the 2nd this month, or the 3rd of September. Wow, that's soon. Yeah, that's interesting when that happens. Like, I feel like mine switches. It's like syncing up with whatever new energy I'm moving into, or like some process that needs to happen during that time. It's really interesting.
That is interesting that you say that, because I am like going through a huge, just like complete, almost like a timeline jump, if you will. Feels like the only thing that's actually appropriate, because like transformation, shift, it's just like not as like extreme as what the fuck is actually going on. So maybe when we're like really, yeah, like jumping time, I don't know, now I'm just like talking shit, no one quote me on this, but maybe when we're jumping timelines, we have like a gap in our flow. That's dope. I'm with it.
Well, my loves, thank you so, so much for coming and for just being such radiant beings and goddesses. I'm going to go ahead and just stop the recording, and we will see everybody next week who isn't able to be on the live and tune in with us on the next recording.